Hello guys, Shrish here. So this is the POCO X2 and I've been using this phone for roughly 48 hours now. And here's what happened. These are my initial impressions with the POCO X2. So right after I unboxed this device, the first few hours were obviously occupied by just adoring the 120Hz smoothness of this display. And yeah, as far as the initial impressions go, at least, it does justify the smooth AF tagline that POCO has been using for this device. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about the 120Hz smoothness and overall fluidity that this display has. Now, because I came from an AMOLED display panel that was on the Realme X2 Pro, I do still miss the deeper blacks and the overall vibrance and saturations of the display. But I think within 2 or 3 days more, I might get along with this display, and I might be even happy using the IPS LCD panel on the POCO X2. Obviously, I don't really like this trade-off of 120Hz IPS LCD for 60Hz AMOLED or 90Hz AMOLED, but okay, I can get along with that. It's not a huge issue as such. Now over here, I do have the Matrix Purple variant in 6GB RAM and 64GB internal storage option. And as far as the color goes, I did purposely choose this color, and I am kind of satisfied with what I have over here in hand. It does look pretty dope. It's not super fancy when it comes to color, or there is no kind of color shifting or gradient kind of finish over here. It's just a single color, at least on this specific variant. The blue one actually has a little bit of gradient to it, but this purple variant doesn't have it, and I'm pretty happy about that because I'm not really a fan of these gradient finishes. Obviously they do look great, but they are kind of becoming a lot more mainstream these days. So which is why I just went for a very simplistic approach. But as far as the design goes, yeah, it is not so minimal. It is a little bit complex. As for me, I'm not really a huge fan of it, but yeah, I don't hate it as such as well. It's okay. I kind of accept it. I kind of like it, I guess, or maybe I don't like. I am not sure how my feelings are about this design. As for the front end, we do have the dual punch hole display, and it doesn't really bother me that much. Yeah, for the first 1 or 2 hours when I was streaming YouTube or watching YouTube videos, it did bother me to some extent, but later on I just started completely ignoring subconsciously, and right now it doesn't even bother me. Now, one thing that I was curious in particular with this device before actually buying this or before actually getting it in my hands was, how is the fingerprint sensor gonna be? Because the volume, if you look at the fingerprint sensor, I mean the size of the sensor overall is pretty thin. It's not really something that you see on a traditional fingerprint scanner or an in-display fingerprint scanner as well. The diameter, the radius, whatever mathematical terms you want to use, it's small. Okay, it is really small, and I thought maybe it's gonna suck as such, but it didn't. It has been working pretty much very good. I'm pretty happy about that. It does unlock the phone 99.9% of the times, even with sweaty fingers, so that is a huge plus point. And yes, I do like the placement of this fingerprint scanner. It doubles up as a power button, and the best part is that POCO has given us the liberty to choose if you want to just rest your finger on the button or if you want to press the button while unlocking the phone. As for me, I have been just resting it because obviously it's more convenient to rest your finger than to press it. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Now at the back, we do have the quad camera setup, and one of the highlights of this phone was the Sony IMX686 sensor. And yeah, I've been using the Samsung GW1 previously, which was a 64 megapixel sensor, and I switched to this Sony IMX686, and here's what I feel. Basically, more or less, these two sensors are capable of producing almost similar images. The Sony IMX686 might just be a little bit better, but obviously you cannot really determine the sheer quality of a sensor because in smartphone photography, what matters most is the post-processing. But as far as the cameras on the POCO X2 goes collectively, including the post-processing, I like the fact that the colors are natural. They are not super oversaturated like the Realme devices, and there is a good amount of details. The dynamic range is spot on. It's not too much, and I'm super glad about that. The selfies as well. I'm not a huge selfie person, but I did click 1 or 2 selfies for the sake of this video, and it did turn out pretty nice. Obviously, these are just initial impressions, so I'll have to test the cameras a lot more thoroughly. So do wait for the detailed camera review of this phone, which should be coming really soon on the channel. Now, about the 120Hz and the battery thing. So as I told, I have been using the phone for roughly 48 hours. Firstly, when I unboxed the phone was around 70% or 71% if I have to be precise. And I used the phone for roughly 3 hours or 4 hours with extremely moderate or light usage. I was just downloading the apps from Play Store and I was scrolling through Instagram and Twitter a little bit. And after 3 hours of this kind of usage, I was left with around 35 to 36% of battery, which is not really that much bad considering the 120 Hz battery life. Although I am kind of a little bit skeptical about this battery life because as time goes by, as I load the phone with a lot of applications, the battery life might take a hit. But one thing that I'm sure is that I might be able to get 5 hours or 5.5 hours of screen on time, at least on this device. At 120 Hz, of course. But on the good side note, we do have a 27 watt fast charger pre-included in the box, which is a really good thing because this phone has got a 4500 milliamp hours of battery capacity, and normally it does take a lot of time to load or juice up this battery capacity in general. But the 27 watt literally takes 1 hour and 15 minutes to charge the phone from 0 to 100. I tried that, so it's proven. I did drain the battery to 0% and then I charged the phone again to 100%. And it took roughly 1 hour and 15 or 16 minutes if I'm not wrong. And yes, because I've been using this phone for just 2 days now, I did not face any sort of performance issues, which is obviously something that I had expected because 730G is actually a pretty capable and really powerful processor, especially for this price point. I mean, 16,000 rupees, you are getting an absolute beast. This is definitely a bargain and I'm super happy about that. But I won't say that it was 100% flawless, obviously, because this is a 120 Hz display. You do see a little bit of frame dropping here and there. I mean, obviously, what is 120 Hz? You know, you get the 120 FPS goodness. So in day-to-day usage or in general user interface, you might just see a little bit of frame dropping going on here and there, but it's not an issue. It is pretty rare to see that if you are using the stock launcher and everything is pretty much on the stock side. So don't worry about performance, at least for the first few days. I'll have to test the performance thoroughly after 1 week or so. So I'll talk about that in my full review. So again, stay tuned for that. Now, I did stream a lot of YouTube during my 2 days usage and I am pretty much satisfied with the speaker quality. The speaker quality is not as loud as the Realme X2 Pro, but it is definitely very good. I mean, even at higher volumes, it does not distort. It is super clear and I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, the 48 hours with the POCO X2 were great and satisfying, and I'm pretty much hyped for this device. I have a lot of expectations, obviously, for this device, and let's see how this device performs in the long run. A lot of POCO X2 content is going to come soon on the channel, so be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, drop a comment for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.